Hey everyone, welcome to another video into my Intro to HTML series. In this video I'm going to talk about the parts of a web page. These are going to be standard parts you'll find in most web pages. I'll bring up a couple pages here. I have one that's a Star Tribune. I have one called A List Apart, which is about design, and then another one for NHCC, North Hennepin Community College. These three pages are going to have some common features, and we're going to explore what those features are. If I had to break down a website or a web page into chunks, I would usually break it down into four common chunks: the header, the nav, the main content, and the footer. The header. The header is always going to be at the top of the page. Header is usually going to contain the name of the web page. In this case, Star Tribune will be at the top. Some of them are going to contain the date. Some of them are going to contain things like login information and search bar. The Star Tribune one will also have this little weather widget and some advertisements up in the header. A list apart will also contain the name of the web page, a list apart. The A list apart page also contains the search bar and navigation up in the header. There's a date up in the header as well. NHCC, the header is right up here and it contains the navigation, it contains the search bar, and then the name of the web page is off to the side a little bit. And there's also a feature section up in the header. So this whole area up here would be considered the header of the NHCC web page. Header. Purpose of the header is to tell you where you are on the internet. Okay? It's the way you advertise your page and let people know where they are. Next section, navigation, or what we call nav. Navigation is going to be all the links that take you around inside the current website. So this one will go to local or sports or business or opinion. It'll take you inside of the website. So it's going to be a series of links that'll take you back and forth to different pages in the website. A list apart has that up here: articles, events, topic, write for us. Okay? That's the navigation for a list apart. NHCC, navigation is right here. These are all going to be links that take us to different pages within the website. Okay? And it has two different sections of navigation. So we've got header and we've got nav. Usually those are up towards the top. You want to put nav somewhere where you can find it immediately when you come to the page. You don't want users having to search for the nav. If they have to search for the nav, they might very well go to a different website entirely. So most designers are going to put navigation right at the top, so when you open the page, first thing they see is the header and the nav. Content. That's going to be all of the stuff that you came to a website to consume. So it's going to be all the images, the text and news stories. Sometimes content is even advertisements. Sometimes content is going to be videos or links to songs or sounds, and sometimes it's going to be games. Content is all that stuff that we go to a web page to consume, and that's almost always going to be underneath the nav, underneath the header, and above what's called the footer. So you put all kinds of stuff in the content. Got content here on Star Tribune is in the middle. A list apart has its content right here, and you can see it's a bunch of small chunks that will preview different web pages and different stories. Okay, these will give you a preview. NHC's main content is this whole area right here. If I go to a different page, degrees and certificates, for example, the main content is going to be all this stuff right here that's going to describe what degrees and certificates we have available to us. Computer Science AS, for example, will describe what that degree is and what courses you need to take to earn that degree. So that's main content. Sometimes content is broken down into columns, sometimes it's just one main column. Now let's move on to footer. Footer is going to be down at the bottom of a page. Oftentimes what the footer has in it is redundant navigation. Oftentimes you're going to find the links to the social networking stuff. A lot of times you're going to find things like the company's contacts, terms of service, all that kind of stuff. So this is the footer for the Star Tribune. It's rather big on Star Tribune. A list apart has a bunch of stuff in the footer. Once again, it's got your social networking stuff to follow them. You've got some advertisements down here. You've got the copyright info, and you've got permissions and terms of use. NHCC is going to have all of that stuff as well, and it's got redundant navigation to all the different pages. So if this is like a site map down here where you can very easily go to the things you want. Academic programs, I can go to computer science right away. Okay? That's the purpose of the footer. The footer is going to contain all the stuff that most users don't go to the website to use, but could be very useful if they're searching for something. All right, well, how do we do this stuff? Let's take a look at some HTML. And I'm going to just kind of mock up the basic skeleton for a page like this. This is the page that we have been working on. I'm just going to say goodbye to all this garbage. And I'm going to mark up some of the basic markup we would need for header, content, and footer. Conveniently, we have a tag called header. This is not to be confused with head. Remember we talked about head in one of the previous videos? The head contains all of the stuff that helps the website work. It's like the utilities, but we don't see it in the browser. Content never goes in the head. Okay? Header is different. Header is content. Header is stuff that goes in the browser window that we go to and we see. If we went back to the Star Tribune page, the header says Star Tribune Local. It has a little weather widget and search stuff. Okay, this is all stuff that shows up in the browser window. If it shows up in the browser window, it needs to go inside the body of the web page. Header, not to be confused with head. Oftentimes what you put in the header is an H1, and we'll get to H1 later, but this is our main headline. All right? Footer goes down at the very bottom. It just looks like this. Footer. Not fodder, footer. There we go. And usually there's some text in there. Copyright 2017, for example. We might put a lot more stuff in there. We might put lists with navigation in there. We might put links to all sorts of different things. But for now, footer is just going to get copyright 2017. And then in between the header and the footer is where we put our content. Oftentimes, we're going to put our content inside of articles. Okay? The article is a tag that I'll explain in a future video, but it's going to contain content that's all directly related to one another. We might have a heading that will introduce that article. We'll call it subhead. We might have a series of paragraphs. We might have some images in there as well. The thing about that article is that all the content that's in there is directly related to one another. This subheading introduces all these paragraphs. Any images in there directly relate to those paragraphs. All right, so that's the basic structure of a web page, and those are the tags that we would use to build that web page. In a future video, I'm going to show you exactly how header, article, and footer work, and how we're going to put content in there, and how we make the page display in the browser. Thanks for watching.